Hi, I'm Yemisi Youssef, Head of Client Lifecycle Management in the US. I'm joined by Manisha, who's our US Head of Post-Trade Services, and Steve, who's our Global Head of Account Management. Steve, welcome to the US. You've been on a world tour of sorts, UK to APAC, APAC back to the UK, and now over to the US. So you are uniquely positioned to discuss Delta Capita and its global strategy and footprint, which is what brings us here today.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. Always enjoy coming to New York.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So I guess, Steve, let's start with the big picture. So what does it mean for our firm to be truly global, and how is that aligning with our strategy?
It's a great question. For me to be sort of truly global, it means being present in the locations that matter to our clients. Right? We need to be able to engage with them, interact with them and service them 24/7, so be able to do that around the clock. It's also really important that we can leverage those global capabilities locally, right, and deliver a lot of the wealth of experience that we have around the globe into the local market. So again, one of the reasons being here this week is to help sort of build the US presence. And I think just as importantly is taking all of the intel gleaned from the local conversations that you guys are having on the ground and making sure we represent that, feed that back and represent that so that that's baked into the global strategy, because it's really important. Right? We need to make sure that we are both local and global at the same time. And if you think about the remarkable journey that we are going on, and you think about the acquisitions that we've made and the transactions, they're truly global.
Sure.
So it's helped us build proper, meaningful operation centres in Asia and in Europe. We are trying to do the same here as we build and scale rapidly. And so again, one of the purposes and points of me being here this week is to get out, meet as many of the clients as possible, as many of the really important stakeholders, the decision makers, so that we can then take that back and make sure that the US is a central part of that global strategy.
I think it resonates with me quite personally because I've relocated from our London office. I worked there for several years, and now being part of that fast growing environment that we have here in the US, which is really rapidly growing. I mean, this year alone, we've set up in new locations like Houston, Chicago, Charlotte. New York is still very centric for us, but we also have a strong client base out in Dallas as well. So although we are feeling that global growth regionally, we're also experiencing that as well.
So you've both told us what you do. You run your respective business lines in the region here. Tell me a little bit about your experience of running it here, but part of a global business, and how that sort of benefits the clients.
Delta Capita services the entire financial services industry, but I think particularly as it applies to our Tier 1 and Tier 2 clients, they're geographically dispersed. They operate in all regions of the globe. And so despite the fact that a relationship might be set up in London, it may be necessary to service that client out of New York because there are key stakeholders here and they fully appreciate that I'm based here locally and can service them in their own time zone. And so I think Delta Capita has proven that we can really engage our clients wherever they are in whatever time zone they wish. And in fact, they demand that of us. Mm-hmm. They're not particularly keen on establishing relationships with us in one region and perhaps carving out another. It's the question that we learned really early on is, can you not only service us here, but anywhere we operate? Mm-hmm. And almost always that answer is yes.
Yeah, very similarly in post-trade as well, and more broadly CMS. I mean, we recently were selected by DTCC to lift out Report Hub, and that is something that we're servicing clients globally. I think there's 80 plus clients that we're doing in that space. Yeah. So, it is really beneficial for clients that we can service them and allow that follow the sun model, as Yemisi referenced. And I think even when it's more on a micro level around specific engagements, we've had engagements where, we need to stand up a big team in London, but have similar team presence in Dallas, for example. So, really being able to allow that and have that kind of global management structure that we can accommodate is really beneficial for clients because it just kind of takes that burden away from them.
I also think we bring instant credibility. If you think about the senior leadership team, most, in fact, pretty much all, have come from the client side,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
So we've all got the battle scars. We sort of feel the pain. So when the clients do come and talk to us and tell us what their problems are, I feel that we can understand more quickly, we can pivot, and we can deliver a solution, in pretty rapid time. I think one of the challenges we have is clearly how we scale in certain markets, and that's one of the things we're doing here. But we shouldn't underestimate the credibility that we bring through having practitioners leading those global businesses.
So Steve, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about our brand here in the US. So how do we leverage some of the trust that we've built from our clients and from some of the acquisitions that we've done to continue to grow our brand and leverage that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And let's be clear, clients trust us. And you just have to look at the trust that's already been placed in us, whether that's Citi as they look to us to commercialise what we now call Quinn, whether it's HSBC and the fact that they have trusted us to take 200 plus of their ops and tech staff and to process all of their OTC confirmations and settlements globally. That's huge trust that they've already placed in us. And there are similar transactions. You mentioned Reportable earlier, and there are other similar transactions and acquisitions where we have executed flawlessly. I think what we need to do better though is, and to your point, it's about the brand, right? So our brand, I would say, if we're honest with ourselves, is not consistently known globally. Global clients know us and trust us who've dealt with us. But as we've seen here, as we grow the business in the US, we still have work to do around that brand. And that's fine, right? That's just a stage of the journey that we're on. And that's why I'm here and the rest of the team are here this week, and why we've got a packed calendar with lots of different client meetings. I think success for me is people outside of our direct network, knowing who we are at the end of this week, wanting to talk to us, wanting to know a little bit more about how we can help them, the services we offer. And I think if we can do that, then our job has been successful, and it gives you guys the opportunity here to then go out and build those relationships and see how we can develop the brand further.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a very positive affirmation when we do speak to clients and they're like, oh, I heard this in your publications. Can you tell me a bit more about it? And it's really exciting because it has been a phenomenal year for us. It's been one thing after the other in terms of what we're putting out there in the market and really growing, particularly in my space in the post-trade world with our OTC derivatives offering as well.
Yeah, and it's probably important to note too that Delta Capital has grown quite a bit this year in terms of new hires, acquisitions, the whole bit. And I think it's important that given the relationships we've had, Steve, you made a really good point about a lot of our businesses being practitioner-led. These folks come on board with really deep networks. And the more that they're able to engage those networks and propagate the Delta Capital brand, it bodes well for the organization globally.
And look, I think people want to talk to us. But what I'm seeing in the short time that I've been here, through all the hard work that's gone on before and has continued since, is that people are, if nothing else, curious about some of those transactions, right? They want to know what it means, what client benefits or what the client benefits are, and how they could potentially, realize some of those similar benefits, right? So it's a good story, right? And I think we're in a really unique position where we have a lot of good stock. We've got credibility and growing credibility. We now need to make the most of that, and it's up to us globally. And we keep talking about global and local. It's up to everybody globally to help you guys here in the US, but to help more broadly the business grow outside of those traditional centers, right? So that we can be truly global and add value to our clients, again, both globally and locally.
Well, look, I think that's absolutely right. And what a pleasure this was, Anisha and Steve. I think if nothing has come out of this chat is that Delta Capital is global, we are capable, and we are absolutely gaining market share, and we are on a mission to make sure that the street knows who we are. If nothing else, we are, again, a firm with global reach, but significant local impact.
Yep, and thank you very much for having me.
We love it when you're here, Steve. Thank you for that.